Hey everybody, this is Mace1370 back for another 84 RTR draft. This pack has a few cards that are probably first pick worthy. Augur Spree is a great removal spell. Bluster Squall is a very good way to get in a huge chunk of damage, and if you really needed to, it can buy a turn. Lobber Crew is also good. So deciding what to first pick here, I guess you can also consider Common Bond. Firemind's Foresight is not first pickable, it's not really playable. I think Augur Spree is probably the most powerful card. Lobber Crew is, I guess, the most versatile. Bluster Squall, you really want to get into like an aggro-y combo Izzet deck. Lobber Crew works in Rakdos or in Izzet. Augur Spree, I guess, works in Rakdos. You can also splash it in Golgari, and I guess you could splash it in Izzet. But I think Augur Spree is the strongest card here by a decent margin, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. Alright, this pack is, I'd say, weaker than the last one. There are a few cards here that we can take. We can take Gorehouse Chainwalker, which I think I'm probably going to do and continue on with, I guess, the Rakdos plan. Other cards that are also good, Azorius Keyrune, I would consider, kind of like equal in power level to Gorehouse Chainwalker and Azorius. I guess maybe Chainwalker's a little bit higher pick. It's kind of hard to compare cards across guilds like that, though, so... Spawn of Urksmati is also decent in Rakdos, but I think you need to focus on the 2-drops before you grab a lot of 5-drops. I find when you're drafting decks like Rakdos and Izzet, it's really easy to get overloaded on cards that you only need a couple of. Maybe that's just by virtue of the print runs or how people value things, but that's the situation I tend to run into a lot. Inaction Injunction, also good if you end up in Izzet, but just taking this as the first blue card on pack 2, I'm not really excited about doing, so we'll take the Chainwalker. Okay, well now I'm not really sure what we're going to do because there's really no Rakdos card worth taking here. There's Spawn of Urksmati, but like I said earlier, I don't really feel like taking that card super highly is a great idea. Lay of Skyknight is likely the best card in the pack. It's just very awkward because playing Lay of Skyknight and these two cards is just never going to happen. You can't really splash Skyknight in a Rakdos deck by virtue of the white mana. That said, there's really nothing else for us. I'm not thrilled about taking a Spawn of Urksmati, and Augur Spree is nice and all, but I'm going to try and just take the best card in this pack. It's only pack 3, and a pick 3 Lay of Skyknight is not a signal here though, because we have, or I guess actually there's a rare and a common gone, so it could indicate that at least one person upstream of us is not in Azorius. So we're going to, take the Skyknight just by virtue of it being the best card, and there's not a Rakdos card anywhere close to it. We might not end up playing it, there's not a huge loss by taking it, and if Rakdos continues to not come, then we have a backup plan. Okay, so I guess I am glad that I took the Skyknight there, because in this pack, again, there's really no Rakdos. I guess actually I take that back. There is an Ogre Jailbreaker. This is interesting. So Jailbreaker could be a card that we would take. It fits with the Rakdos cards. Dramatic Rescue is a card that's very good, which I think I'm going to take. I prefer playing Azorius to Rakdos. I just tend to have better luck with it. And Ogre Jailbreaker, I wouldn't consider a signal. Pick 4. I mean, it's a decent card, but the cards that you want to see that indicate Rakdos are open are like the Dead Revelers and the Splatter Thugs and such, and we're not seeing those here. Dramatic Rescue is a good card. Azorius Arrestor is also a good card if we wanted to go into an aggro Azorius deck. I'm not very impressed with Azorius or Asperia Skywatch, so we're going to take the Dramatic Rescue. See where we go. Here we have Cackler, which is a good card. So let's see. Yeah, Cackler's an okay card if we wanted to do the Rakdos thing, but again, we haven't really been seeing much of the key cards of that deck, i.e. the Splatter Thugs, the Dead Revelers. So I'm not thrilled to push into it. So here we either take the Tower Drake or the Hussar Patrol. There's also the Azorius Guildgate, but I don't think we need to take that right now. I think we take the Hussar Patrol. It's probably one of the better 4-drops that we can play. I like the fact that it has Flash. It lets us keep mana open for things like Dispel and Mizium Skin and whatnot. So yeah, I think we'll take that. This is a very weak pack overall. There's a Crosstown Courier and a Fall of the Gavel, and I guess a Selesnya Sentry. We can probably pick up, like some Selesnya Sentries and Crosstown Couriers later in the draft and just get them in later picks. And I'm not thrilled to play either of them. Fall of the Gavel is a card that we might end up playing. Likely sideboard. Could main deck it. We'll see. It depends on how aggressive we get. Zarian, who's a friend of mine that plays a good amount of these drafts, has had a good amount of success with a very aggressive Azorius deck where you have a ton of 2 and 3 drops, lots of tempo cards like Azorius Arresters and Lay of Sky Knights and such, detaining their creatures, and minimal 4 and 5 drops, and then you have a couple Dispels, a couple Mizzim Skins, and some Swift Justices, and you're just really like out tempoing and bouncing them with dramatic rescues. And having Fall of the Gavel at the top of that curve is pretty decent because of the flash aspect of like your 4 drops like this Heart Patrol. You can reliably leave it up. Okay, this pack is also kind of a dud for us. There is a Pursuit of Flight, but like I said earlier, we haven't really seen the cards that make this deck, key. So I don't think doing that is really where we want to be. I don't know if we'll want to splash green for anything, but I guess we'll take the Selesnya Guildgate. We could get something like Giant Growth later, and having the Guildgate might let us splash it if we wanted to do that. Not a super exciting pick there, though. I'm going to go ahead and hide the Gorehouse Chainwalker and the Augur Spree. I like how we've taken nothing but gold cards and a gate. I guess when you count the Gorehouse Chainwalker, that's not necessarily true. Okay, well, here's another kind of boring bad pack. We have an Ethereal Armor, which I guess we'll take. If we end up not doing the super aggressive version, the Ethereal Armor Paralyzing Grasp enchantment-based deck is an option. And getting the Ethereal Armors early does allow you to kind of look for those late Paralyzing Grasps, like Nightly Valors and stuff like that come around, and prioritize them more to make Ethereal Armor better. Alright, so this is our original pack. Not much wheeled. There wasn't really anything that we were expecting to get back, though, I guess. So we'll take Seller of Songbirds. It's not exciting. Hopefully I don't have to run it. Okay, we're back. The Azorius Keyrune tabled, which is actually pretty surprising. We have an Armory Guard that we could consider as well as a Judge's Familiar, but I think we just take the Azorius Keyrune. Judge's Familiar, I think we tried this in a deck or two, and it can kind of work if you get it on turn 1. The problem is that just like later in the draft, it's just kind of a dead card. You draw it on like turn 7 or 8, and you're just like, this is a 1/1 flyer that doesn't impact the board. So it's basically a dead draw at that point. Okay, we can take an Armory Guard, but I'm not excited to play it. Hopefully we don't play this Seller of Songbirds or this Armory Guard. Wonder if we'll get a late Paralyzing Grasp and possibly open up. We can take a Civic Saber here. We have 2 gold creatures, and I guess you kind of can count the Azorius Keyrune. Take a Psychic Spiral. We don't have any Doorkeepers yet. Not really an option. So yeah, this first pack was not super exciting. We didn't get a whole lot of cards that I'm really thrilled to play. Lay of Sky Knight was probably the standout along with Dramatic Rescue. The only late card we got was really Azorius Keyrune. Oh, well, we opened a Skymark Rock, which is good. I'm not one for taking, like the dual lands, like Steam Vents, over cards that we're going to play in our deck in 8/4 queues. I think these are worth like 1 or 2 tickets. That just doesn't seem worth it to me. I suppose you could argue later on they're going to be worth a lot more. That might be the case. I feel like you sometimes even pick these up, in like the 2nd or 3rd pick as well. At the beginning of the draft, they were, at the beginning of the format, they were definitely worth a lot more, though. So there's something to be said for that. So hopefully we'll get something on the wheel in this pack. See, if we take out 7 other cards, someone's probably taking the Bluster Squall, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's definitely a chance that we get something back, especially if someone grabs a Steam Vents for value. Skymark Rock is definitely one of the better cards we can grab there. So here it comes down to either the Void Wielder or the Dispel. And to be honest, like, it doesn't seem like we have a super aggressive deck so far. We actually don't have a single creature 2-drop that we're playing. So I'm going to take the Void Wielder. I don't think it's really close in this scenario. If we already had the makings of an extremely aggressive deck, then maybe you take the Dispel, but even then it's pretty hard to take it over Void Wielder, especially since Dispel will wheel a lot of the time. Interesting. So here we have a Hypersonic Dragon, which I think we're just going to take. Very strong card. We can get some, is it Guild Gates later, potentially like an is it Keyrin or something to make this work. There is a Transguild Promenade there in my table. I think we opened an is it Guild Gate in the last pack, so we might even get that around. Yeah, Hypersonic Dragon's pretty easily the pick there. Okay, so here we have either a Runewing, a Hussar Patrol, or a Swift Justice. I think we just take the Hussar Patrol. It's the strongest card for us. Annihilating Fire is probably the strongest card in the pack. Wow, that's a really late Detention Sphere. Gonna slam that. Keening Apparition is a very good card that we'd like to have, but hard to say no to a pick 3 or 4 Detention Sphere. This pack has been much better to us than the last one. Annihilating or Explosive Impact is another really good card in this pack. Theoretically, we could play it if we're going to splash the Hypersonic Dragon. Okay, this pack is pretty much a dud for us. There is a Psychic Spiral if we wanted to take another one, and a Doorkeeper. I think we will probably just take the Crosstown Courier just to have a 2-drop. Not super excited about that, though. And here we have to choose between a Fairy Imposter, a Mizium Skin, and the Izzet Guildgate. We pretty much have to take the Guildgate here since we have Hypersonic Dragon, and that card outclasses Fairy Imposter and Mizium Skin by a large margin. I'm going to go ahead and hide this Lesnia Guildgate. Civic Saber actually might make it into our deck. I mean, we have, 2 Hussar Patrols, a Hypersonic Dragon, a Skymark Rock, and a Lay of Sky Knight already. So this might be a Civic Saber deck. I'm going to go ahead and take Dramatic Rescue here. Pretty happy about that. Looks like we cut Azorius pretty well. We're getting very rewarded for it in this pack. I don't think I've had quite so many gold cards either in a deck I've drafted before. Yes, granted, all of these aren't necessarily creatures, and I don't know if we're playing Fall of the Gavel in this deck. It looks like we have some other stuff to do on turn 5. But yeah, we need to start getting some more creatures because right now we're a little light on them. I don't know if Ethereal Armor is going to make the cut here. We haven't really picked up any enchantments. I guess we have a Detention Sphere, so there's that. And Azorius Keyrin, I suppose, technically counts as a creature. But yeah, we need some more 2 and 3 drops. Some 3 power or 3 mana cost flyers would be good to kind of pad out this spot. I know we saw a bunch going around. So here we can choose between, I think there was a Sunspire Griffin in this pack. This was the wheel, so we were correct. We were going to get something back here. Between Vassal Soul and Tower Drake, I think Tower Drake's probably better. I mean, this can die to Electrickery, but I like the fact that it's, I guess, a little easier to cast, although in our deck it probably won't make a difference. And the fact that Tower Drake can, get pumped up in the late game, I think gives it the edge. Very few people actually play Electrickery. I guess, though, we do have the Lay of Sky Knight, so maybe it was worth taking the Vassal Soul just so all of our 3-drops don't die to Electrickery, but oh well. Hopefully that Dispersal table, I think it was in the next pack, yes, and it did. There was Dispel, not Disperse. So success there. So far this is looking like a pretty solid deck. We have a pretty high power level of our cards here. Hypersonic Dragon is a pretty significant bomb. Nothing for us here, I guess. Axebane Stag is hard for us to deal with outside Detention Sphere, so I'll take that. Perilous Shadow is probably the card that we would least like to face out of these. Horncaller's Chant is so expensive, it's unlikely that an opponent would cast it against us. Perilous Shadow can actually be a threat. Likewise, Mind Rot could actually take out some cards from our hand, but Terrace Worm probably won't see play. So thinking about what we are looking for in pack 3, some removal would be nice, some more 3-power flyers and 2-drop creatures would be good, as well as some tricks. I think the top of our curve is decent so far. You know, like every card we have in this spot we definitely want to play. So we don't really need to prioritize taking higher casting cost cards. And that's an extremely late Sluiceway Scorpion. Don't remember exactly what was in that pack. Maybe there's only one Golgari player at the table and he took something else. Maybe there's no Golgari players. So yeah, still unsure about the Ethereal Armor, but it's looking like Civic Saber is very possibly coming in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures that can use it. And actually, I didn't realize this earlier, Vassal Soul is double color as well. So that was stupid. That was definitely a reason to take Vassal Soul over the Tower Drake. I never played with Civic Saber, so that's not something that's going through my mind, typically. So yeah, opening a Jace here would be pretty sweet. I would take it. Would not complain one bit. Unless it's not a foil, then I will complain, because I only expect the best out of pack 3. Wow, foil Martial Law and Sphinx's Revelation. Kind of a downer. I guess we'll take the Sphinx. 16 tickets and life gain and card draw is pretty nice. It is actually sad that we're passing Martial Law, because that is a good card, but, you know, like I said earlier, it's hard to complain. Money card and bomb, yes please. Oh, and in our colors in pack 3, and it's a gold card. Wow. Been fairly lucky in the last several drafts drafting money cards. Got a Sphinx's Revelation this time. I think a couple drafts ago I got a Jace. Don't really remember exactly when. This is actually the 4th Sphinx's Revelation I've opened. The Jace I opened a couple drafts ago was the first. And then I've also, let's see if I gotten anything. Oh yeah, I had the Angel of Serenity. That was the other money card. I've yet to open a Vraska though, which seems like a pretty rad card to play with. I don't know how many tickets it's worth at the moment. That's a scary Bloodfray Giant. But I think we'll just take Azorius Justicar. It's a decent 4-drop. It's a creature. I would prefer a lower casting cost creature that's not something like Dryad Militant. I mean, I guess it's okay, but... And I guess it is a double color for Civic Saber. So that is a consideration, but I think Justicar is strong enough that we're just taking that. Okay, This pack doesn't really have anything for us. I guess there is the Explosive Impact. That's, I mean, is either that or a Transguild Promenade? I don't think we need to take the Transguild Promenade. I mean, because right now we're only splashing Hypersonic. Could take another Ethereal Armor. That doesn't seem that exciting. I think I'll just take the Explosive Impact. We may not play it. It depends on our splash situation. If we get another Izzet Guildgate, then it's probably coming in. But like I said earlier, we really need to focus on creatures. I likely would not take a Guildgate over a decent 2 or 3 drop at this point. Because that's, I think, essentially the only thing our deck is really missing. We have removal, we have bounce, we have a counter, we have a bomb, 2 bombs. I guess 3, 2.5 if you count Skymark Rock. Wow, this is tough. So here we have a Tower Drake and an Azorius Charm and a Knightly Valor. And from a creature perspective, I almost say we have to take the Tower Drake. I mean, Azorius Charm is just so good though. I'm going to be greedy here and take the Azorius Charm and just hope we get creatures later. Okay, well we got a Sunspire Griffin, so far my greed is paying off in spades. This is a late Hellhole Flare. That's a very strong card for Rakdos. Crosstown Courier might be making the deck. Kinda sad. Still not sure about the Civic Saber. We may not have enough guys to do it now, because now we've picked up some non-doubles. I'm really upset at myself for not realizing that earlier and taking the Vassal Soul. But what can you do? Alright, well here I think we just take the Dryad Militant. It's a creature. If we were going to play Crosstown Courier, we would play the Dryad Militant. We'd probably play the Dryad Militant before the Courier. And Mizzium Skin would be nice to have, but we already have a Dispel. So yeah, we'll take the Militant. Would much prefer a Azorius Arrestor instead, or another 3-power flyer. Yeah, so let's see, we have 1, 2, technically 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. We'll play the Civic Saber. Alright, well, it looks like I'm getting a Vassal Soul after all, so that's good. Stealer of Secrets, I don't think really would make our deck. It might just by virtue of being a creature and we need more of those, but Vassal Soul is obviously better here for us. I've said it before, Stealer of Secrets is generally better in Izzet than it is in Azorius. I like it in Azorius when you have cards like Inaction Injunction, because you can sneak it through sometimes. We have a Azorius Justicar, but it's probably not enough to play it. It's at its best when you have Guild Mage. When you have Guild Mage, I actually take these higher. They bump up in my pick order. We don't have a Guild Mage though, so. Alright. Well, we're not playing the Common Bond. We're already splashing red for the Hypersonic Dragon and possibly Explosive Impact. So, Hover Barrier versus Runewing. I guess I'm leaning towards Hover Barrier. This card blocks basically everything. And it lets our flyers kind of go to town. Runewing isn't terrible, though. Yeah, this is close. Yeah, I'm going to take the Hover Barrier. It lets us get to cards like Hypersonic and Sphinx's Revelation. I mean, also, like, for curve purposes, I like putting it in the 3-slot more than having another 4-drop. I don't think we're playing the Ethereal Armor. We might be playing Asperius Skywatch, though, because like I said earlier, we need creatures. This is a card that can, do some damage in the air. That's a late Lava Crew. And I don't like seeing Aerial Predation. The card is scary. Seller of Songbirds, I guess we'll take it. We already have one, which is probably not making the cut. I'm trying to remember. I don't anticipate getting that Tower Drake back. I think it's the next pack that had it. I guess we could take a downsize. We might play it in the sideboard, I suppose, against a very aggressive deck. Yeah, there's that pack with Knightly Valor and Tower Drake. Yeah, the one that we took the Azorius Charm out of. Yeah, I don't remember the rest of the pack other than those cards, but I don't think it was deep enough and early enough that we would get anything out of it. It might have already passed us by. All of these cards are Stone Cold unplayable, so I guess we don't want them to kill our Keyrune? Sure, we'll gain life. But not because we're not playing green. Okay, well we didn't get a second Guild Gate, which is a little frustrating, so the Explosive Impact might be a little awkward to play. We'll see what it looks like on deck building. If we were playing the Hypersonic, that's probably playing 1 mountain. If we put in the Explosive Impact, then we'd likely have to put in 2, and we don't have any other Guild Gates or ways to fix our mana, so I'm guessing it's just going to be the Hypersonic for this deck. Power level is pretty strong regardless, so I don't think we'll need the explosive impact. Come on. Need to learn how to double click faster, I guess. Probably going to play this Skywatch just to get another creature in there. Okay. So I guess we also want the Key Rune. I think this is going to be a Civic Saber deck. We have a lot of threats that like we put this thing on and they're hitting for a bunch of damage, like the Lay of Sky Knight. Even on Hussar Patrol, like a 4/4 Vigilance is nothing to scoff at. The Skymark Rock 5/3 that bounces things is pretty scary. So now we have to decide 2 more cards, and I guess our options, Follow the Gavel might be one, but I don't think so. I think more than likely Crosstown Courier is probably going to make it in, just because we kind of need, you know, dorks. Although, I mean, I guess there's an argument to be said if I'm playing Crosstown Courier, I probably would rather just play Seller of Songbirds. Armory Guard might make it. He kind of just does what Hussar Patrol does, though, and we already have 2 of those. Yeah. I guess, yeah, Ethereal Armor is probably not making it either, since I guess Detention Sphere is the only removal, or the only enchantment we have. We didn't pick up any Nightly Valors, there was just the one that we saw, I believe. Silver of Songbirds gives us a flyer, and I guess technically we have 14 creatures here, but one of them is Hover Barrier, which doesn't really attack. Not that Seller of Songbirds particularly does. So I guess we'll just do this. You can at least put the Civic Saber on the bird token, and it's, you know, hitting in for 2 damage, which is significant compared to 1 damage, which just isn't. So we'll definitely play the Izzet Guildgate, and we're probably going to have to play 1 mountain. So what does this say? It doesn't even want to put the mountain in. Alright, well, we'll take down and do a mountain. This gives us 8, 7, 2. A little awkward because we have a double white card there and it's Sunspire. So that might make it a little harder, which is unfortunate. Definitely can't play the Explosive Impact, we just don't have the fixing. I mean, I guess we also have the Azorius Key Rune, so that helps, so I think this is fine. And we're missing a land. Okay. So... Alright, so we can add another plains. This gives us 8/8/2, because there is a Guildgate as a blue land. I think that's better. This should be fine.